On WordPress websites, custom fields implementation can have a lot of use cases. How and where do you use custom fields when building client websites on WordPress? Well, Clifton Canady is here sharing how he uses the power of custom fields for building websites in combination with a page builder. So let's welcome Clifton on the show and get started. Hi, Clifton. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. How about you?
I am doing good. It's just too cold here. I'm not sure how cold is at your end.
It's probably about 40 to 50, maybe, it's not terrible cold here.
Lucky you. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So before we get into the technicals of custom fields and how you can use to make clients' life easier by setting up custom fields on a website, why don't you give a quick introduction about your online life?
Yeah. So as you said, my name's Cliff Canady. I'm a front-end web developer. I own a small agency here in South Carolina called CT Web Design.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing WordPress for around 15 years. And just to get an idea of, how long that is, I started at WordPress 4 or 2.9, which is a long time ago. Yeah. And I also I run a YouTube channel called WP Cliff Notes, kind of taking off my name, you know, and I create WordPress website or WordPress tutorials and reviews for plugins and themes. So that's kind of what I do in the WordPress space.
Awesome. And I believe custom fields is one of your bigger passions while building WordPress
Yes.
website. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's actually one reason I started my YouTube channel. If you go back to the first couple videos of my YouTube channel,
Mm-hmm.
that's what you'll see that I still implement those in videos with Elementor. So I'm a big Elementor
Okay, let's
user
dive
too.
into the world of custom fields. Now, I believe Advanced Custom Fields plugin is your go-to solution for implementing custom fields on WordPress website. What made you choose ACF, which is Advanced Custom Fields, as against to other comparable solutions like Pods or Toolset?
Yeah, so one reason I picked ACF is at the time I started using WordPress, I'm not sure. I tried to look up what year ACF came out, but when I started using WordPress, custom fields in general were not available in WordPress, and they didn't come out till, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 3.0, and and even then they were so difficult to implement. And I think that's when ACF came out. I tried to look up the year. I couldn't find it, but I think that's when ACF came out, like either right after 3.0 or maybe right before. But I picked it up right then. It's got a great interface. I actually checked out I didn't check out Toolset, but I did look at Pods, and I didn't like the interface. And yeah, and I looked at ACF, and I liked the interface and how easy it was to set up custom fields. And so it just became easy. It to me, I don't know why, WordPress hasn't bought ACF and just implemented it into WordPress. I mean, it just doesn't make sense unless the owner of Advanced Custom Fields doesn't want to sell, you know. But it just looked like WordPress. So that's really the main reason I picked ACF.
So before you got into using ACF, or even while you're using it now, have you even thought of doing the parallel direction of using the manual code of registering custom fields? Like, no,
I
don't want
hadn't
to
even
mess with
given it
that.
a thought. I love ACF so much, and it's so easy to implement things, and I don't even want to go back. That's like that's like going back to WordPress 2.9, and I don't even want to do it.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't
Because
even want to think
I
about it.
still remember when I started using, putting the custom post types, and in the earlier days, I would actually use, code, but once I stumbled upon pods, and it's so easy to do it using a plugin. Why, mess with the code? And obviously, there's
Yeah.
the school of thought of using code is still there, and people who believe with that, they stick with that with wholehearted passion. But then plugins just make things way much easier.
Yep.
And
Totally agree.
you use ACF to register custom fields. What do you use to register custom post types that go along with those custom fields? Do you use any special plugin, or you just use the manual code?
Well, I actually use a plugin, and I actually use two.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when I first started doing this, I used a free plugin called Custom Post Type UI,
Mm-hmm.
and I still use that. But I also, since I have implemented or started using Elementor, I bought Jet Engine.
Okay.
It's part of the Crockablock suite, and it's paid, but I use it too. It just depends on the website, I guess. I guess I also work. I didn't say this in the beginning, but I also work at an agency,
Mm-hmm.
and I own an agency, or own a small company. And but at the agency that I work at, the we use custom post type UI, and then for the websites I do on my own, I use Jet Elements or Jet Engine to create my custom post types and
This
taxonomies and stuff like that.
Jet Engine plugin has similar functionality as custom post
It
type UI
does. It does, yeah.
with better
Yep.
integration with Elementor, I guess.
Yeah, because I think they built that whole Crockablock suite
Mm-hmm.
for Elementor. So I mean, to be honest with you, I don't see any reason why you should pick one or the other. If you pick one of those two, I feel like you're good. But I guess I wanted to find out what Crockablock Suite was all about. So I bought it and started using it. And I guess one reason I use Jet Engine in my projects is because I use a lot of the Crockablock Suite,
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of so it just makes sense. And at the agency that I work at too, we don't use Crockablock on a regular basis. We don't own a license there, so we just use custom post type UI. So but those are the two that I would recommend if you're gonna use a plugin to create custom post types. It just makes sense to use a plugin, and you
Yeah.
don't have to keep those plugins active. Like, you can export the code and put it in your theme, and then that's one less plugin that you have to have running on your website as well. So I always export the code and deactivate the plugin. So
Yeah, custom post type UI and ACF is a popular combination together, unless you're using pods, because pods will do both the things. So you won't
mm-hmm.
need custom post type UI. But I guess when you're using Elementor, then you have another option, like you mentioned, Jet Engine, right?
Yeah, I guess Jet Engine is similar to Pods because it does both.
So it does
Like,
custom fields also.
it also gives you custom fields as well.
Okay.
But I just can't get away from ACF. I just like ACF so much. I don't want to learn another
Yeah, makes sense.
way of creating custom fields. So I could use Jet Engine for everything if I really wanted to. But I don't. So
Okay, cool. So let's take an example of a simple 5 to 10 pages brochure website. Now, normally, would you use custom fields on such type of website? If yes, on which parts of the website project?
yeah, so when I start a project, I think about, like, even with Elementor, because I use Elementor everywhere
Mm-hmm.
now since about I've been using Elementor for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years now. I used to do all custom code, like all custom code, and but now I saw how easy Elementor was, and I just started using it. And even though Elementor gives you full control of everything,
Mm-hmm.
it also gives the client full control to screw everything up.
Big
You
problem
know what I'm
with page
saying?
builders, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it does have an option where you can lock down some things, which is kind of nice. But I would just rather have them go to the back end of a page and fill out some custom fields and then view it on the front end to see if the content looks good than them have to go into the page builder and build, you know, go into the edit screen and get confused and screw something up and me have to go fix it. It just makes more sense. But a lot of the times where I use custom fields are on areas that the client is going to be changing a lot,
Mm-hmm.
or areas um, that you can't use WordPress. Like for example, um, sometimes the client wants to use the title name as the page, you know, in the hero, but sometimes they don't. So you would give them an alternate name or an alternate field where if that field's filled in, then it automatically takes effect. So if the title's not there, or if they don't want to use the title, they just fill out the alternate custom field in the back end, and then when it's filled in, it just automatically takes over.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be one example. Um, and let's see, where would another example be? I mean, I use it for pretty much everything, to be perfectly honest with you, on a page, um, when I create things. So, um,
Like on a home page, for example, like we have a lot of elements on different rows. Like they could be FAQs or they could be
mhm.
services. So you make custom fields for say FAQs so that they can add or edit them, or you just use the normal accordion or tabs module in Elementor.
I mean, you could, if you had like an FAQ page or something like that, you could use an ACF repeater,
Mm-hmm.
um, and use that, and just have two fields there and a repeater where they just fill out the question and the answer, and they put as many as they want, and you could use it there too. That's a great place to use it, I think. um, Especially if they're not like very tech savvy and they just want to go to the back end of the website and fill out some fields and then view it on the front end. I think that's a great place to put it.
So basically, you use it to allow text edits to be done easily by clients. Do you also, allow like change of a background image via custom fields
Yeah,
or?
yeah, yeah, you can use it for background images. I mean, ACF has so many field options. I mean, it's it's basically, if you use ACF or Pods or whatever, um, there's unlimited possibilities. But yeah, you could use it for a background image on a section if you wanted to do that. Um, I usually for like a header or the hero section on a page, I use the featured image because I try to use WordPress as much as possible for that. Uh, and But yeah, you can use like what is another field I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Maybe like a let's see, like a true false. Like if they wanted to hide a section on a page,
Mhm.
um you could use a true false uh um field for that. And you can even change what it says. It doesn't have to say yes or no. The default in ACF is yes and no, but you can tell it. You can say show or hide, and you can change that. And in the back end, it'll say show this section or not
Hide.
show this section. So yeah, true false. I use true false a lot
Mm-hmm.
when clients want to hide sections and stuff like that. Um, I use uh, I use a lot. See, I have to go to the website to look at some of the fields.
And what about options panel? Like some people, I've seen few people use custom fields to build an option panels where a client can input basic information like social media profile links and the basic title for the homepage on one page, and that gets outputted. Like if you add social media links, and the social buttons on footer gets
Mhm.
automatically updated with those links. Do you also do that?
Yeah, I use option pages. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yep.
Yep. So I use those. I actually have I have a WordPress dashboard that I created with Elementor
Mm-hmm.
that when the client first logs in, um, they see this dashboard that pretty much gives my contact information, my logo, the hours of maintenance, and stuff like that. And I use that for to tell the client, like, hey, you have 2 hours of maintenance and your website is hosted at this company. And here's a button that you can send me an email or create a support ticket or whatever, and I can change all that stuff in the back end. But you can also do that for social media links too, like you were saying, that you can dynamically change the header and footer. I actually did a YouTube video on that, and I can send you the link, and we can put it in the show
Yep.
notes if you want to. Um, and I did one showing how to do that with ACF. So that would be another area. And there's just all types of ways to use ACF in a website. There's unlimited possibilities.
And do you have a like starter package of website with all pre-made custom fields like you used to build and start with a new project, or you start from scratch for every website?
When it, you know, I have a starter website
Mm-hmm.
that I just hit a button and it duplicates and everything, but I don't have like default custom fields.
Okay.
Um, because every website's different, you know, and it's hard to predict. Like, I mean, I guess you could have a starter like option page where it has like all your social media information, all their contact information and stuff like that. Um, so you could have that. I don't. That's a good suggestion. I probably should do that.
Save time.
But I just haven't done it. So because like I said, every website is so different,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard to predict like what custom fields you're gonna use on because I won't know that until I get the design or I create a design or whatever. So I don't right now. So
Cool. Now let's talk about websites made using Page Builder. In your case, it's Elementor Page Builder. Now we've already touched on this point a little, that a page builder gives you almost 100% freedom to you to build website, but it also gives the same amount of freedom to client to destroy that website in
yeah.
few drag and drop routines. And you are using custom field to so that this thing doesn't happen on the client end. So someone who uses Elementor to build websites, how would you advise them to approach using custom fields in solving this problem of supreme control with the client, and restricting the control from that aspect?
Yeah. So um if if I'm using or if I usually talk to the client first. Everybody has a after I guess what you could do is after you come up with a wireframe or a design or whatever, you could sit down with the client and say, hey, um, do you think this area would change a lot, or is it going to stay, pretty static? Um, and then you could use a custom field there. But like I said, I use custom fields for everything. So, um, I mean, I give the client as much control as possible. Um, to be honest, I actually did a tutorial on how to, and I can put this in show notes too. It was actually a little series about how to create an Elementor page and then create the custom fields and then assign custom fields to that.
Mm-hmm.
So I can give you a link to that too for the show notes. But I would sit down with the client and just say, hey, what stuff do you think is going to stay static, and not change a lot, and which things do you think you'll change? And the things that are going to change, that's what you use custom fields for. And the things that don't change, I still use custom fields for, because I know they're going to change. I know the client's going to change it. You know what I'm saying? So it always happens. They say it's not going to change, and then it changes. So so I use custom fields for everything.
So which are your most commonly used custom fields? Obviously, text and images would be one, but
Yeah.
other than that,
Like I said, I use the show hide true false
okay.
field a lot, because I use the option page a lot. I use a repeater in ACF. I don't know if Pods has a repeater. I'm guessing it does.
No,
It
it
doesn't?
doesn't.
Oh no. See, like I said, I looked at Pods like way back when, and I just like ACF better. But
See, you like ACF much better now, hearing this.
yeah. Now I do. I like it a lot better. Because I use a repeater a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the second. It's probably the third or fourth most used for me.
Maybe you can
And
elaborate the use case of repeater field for someone who's listening and don't know much about what repeater fields are in the
yeah,
context of.
so a repeater field pretty much gives you the ability. You can create two fields and then repeat them over and over. So
Like
so basically
FAQs.
like we were talking about earlier, if you had like a FAQ page,
Mm-hmm.
and your client has like 20 FAQ questions that they want to create, and they're going to change. I mean, they might change, they might not, but you don't want to have to manually repeat that process. So a repeater field pretty much gives you can create two fields and add them to the repeater, and then tell it to show up on the FAQ page. And then you can add one question in the answer and hit add repeater, or add another. And then you just do the same process over and over and over. And then if you want to replace one or delete one, you just go in there and delete it. And you just hit delete once instead of having to hit delete twice to delete the question and the answer. It's just a really easy. I have a tutorial on this. So like I said, I did a ton of ACF when I first began my YouTube channel. So
And I believe you also have a free course on ACF, right?
I do have a free course on ACF. Um, it's it needs to be expounded on,
Mm-hmm.
but and I plan on doing that. But yeah, I have a short course on that. So and I have a tutorial on repeaters and nested repeaters. So you can nest a repeater inside another repeater.
Okay.
That gets a little complex, but you can do it. And let's see, I said a true false
Yep.
field. I've used conditional. Let's see, I think there's a conditional. I've used a relationship field.
Yeah.
It's not used a lot.
Pods has that, so.
Do they? Let's see. I'm actually on their website right now, and I just have to look at some of these because it's like field types. Here we go. So I've used a file field type. I use that a lot if clients have like PDFs that they want to upload and people to download. I use the gallery field a lot. Even though Elementor has the gallery field, again, they don't have to go in the editor to add the gallery. They just have to go to the back end of the page to do all this. I have used the map field. There's an accordion field. The tab field, which is in the pro version. I use that a lot. Let's see, the link field. I've used that. So basically that gives you the ability to add the text for the link itself, and it gives you the ability to open it up in a new tab as well. Let's see. That's about all that I use on a normal basis. A select field. I've used a select field, which is also called a choice field.
Okay. So besides using, custom fields on little simple brochure website, have you tried with some radical, creative, more advanced website implementation features using custom fields?
Yeah, I have. I've actually used it on a WooCommerce website. And basically what it did was, so I had a website that had it was a variations. The product has variations, and with WooCommerce as it is, it shows the low price and the high price on the archive page. And so the client only wanted them to see one price. And so basically I put a field in the back end of WordPress where they could fill out the price, and it would override what showed on the archive page. And I had to write some code to make that work. You couldn't do it. You could tell it to assign it to the product single page, but you couldn't tell it like, hey, override the price. I had to write some code and add it to the theme. So that's a little more complicated, like you were saying. But it worked really well, and I just saved that code out, and every time I need it, I just cut and paste it and add once you do something one time, you just save it somewhere.
And with custom fields, not just obviously ACF is a tool to build custom fields, but custom fields as a concept is very powerful. Actually, you can build virtually anything if you know a little way around the code and stuff, and also the logical working of how it will work in the backend, and how will you, because registering custom fields is one thing, the other part is actually outputting the data in the layout you want to.
When I started building everything from scratch, that's when I got it. Like, that's where you got to really know like what's going on when you're building websites from scratch and no page builder, no nothing. That's when it gets a little hairy. But it's still easy. I still think it's easy and simple, but that's because I'm kind of a seasoned veteran and I know what I'm doing. But if you're using a page builder and you have the pro version of Elementor, because you do have to have the pro version to use custom fields. You can't use it on the free version. That's one feature of the pro version, which if you're not using the pro version, then you're doing something wrong. Because it's so cheap
Yeah.
and so minimal price. You just charge the client and you buy the page builder. Yeah, and so yeah, if it's so much easier because you really don't have to understand. You don't have to put code anywhere. You just have to know where to go to change the and tell it what code to use or what field to use. And Elementor's smart enough to know what fields it can use and what fields it can't.
Yeah.
And so um, so yeah, one thing I have found out with Elementor is it's a little tricky to use a repeater field, but it can be done. There are ways around it. So but it's tricky.
Okay.
Um,
Circling back to your thing of using custom fields and disabling the Elementor edit access to clients. Now, do you do this for every website build you do, or you do with the consult? Like you mentioned that you have a consultation with the client and all that stuff. And if client says he's comfortable with it, then you leave it open for him to play around.
yeah, I mean, if the client is very tech savvy or knows his way around WordPress or her way around WordPress, then yeah, I leave it wide open. I just build the website and give it to them. But if the client is not tech savvy
Mm-hmm.
and doesn't really know their way around WordPress, then I use custom fields. Now, sometimes if they're not tech savvy, they don't want to even touch the website. And so I don't use custom fields and I just do it myself and that charge them a maintenance fee. But if the client does want to try to do it themselves and they're not tech savvy,
Mm-hmm.
then I do use straight custom fields all the time for them.
Cool. So let's switch gears and talk about your toolbox. So, which are your current 5 favorite tools that power your online business? Obviously, other than ACF, because I know that's your
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah. So of course ACF. I like Elementor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I like Crockablock. I like theirs. Let's see. Um, Goodness, there's so many. There is one plugin out there for WordPress that has like a dynamic. I think it's called the dynamic content or something like that, and it gives you the ability to say if this field is not, or if this field is filled in, show it. If not, don't show it. That way, the code doesn't show it doesn't show empty. It just doesn't show at all. And I can find all of these and give you links to them. But God, there's so many, especially Elementor plugins that are that are so good. They're so good. But let's see. Trying to think of another one. I would have to let me look at this website and tell you which ones that I'm using right now. Yeah, I'm just gonna look at a website for you and just tell you. So Unlimited Elements. Holy
Okay.
cow! How did I miss that one? And I have tutorials on this too. But Unlimited Elements, if you don't know about it, you better know. That's all I got to say. Because especially if you're a developer and you want to develop widgets, yeah, this is the plugin for you. Unless you want to, hand code everything.
Is that for Elementor specific?
It is specifically for Elementor, yes. And I think he has one for like Beaver Builder and other page builders and stuff like that.
So those are
But
not pre-made modules or widgets. You actually can build your own, right?
Yeah. So they give you pre-made modules if you want them. There's a couple of free ones, and then they have a pro version. Now the only difference in the pro version is they give you almost 800 widgets.
Wow.
pre-made widgets. Yeah, he gives you a bunch of widgets if you pay him the premium price. But I mean, if you just want to design your own element, all you need is a free version. It's super. It's definitely in my toolbox for sure. Let's see, Crock-a-Block. There's a plugin called Snippets. I think it's called Code Snippets.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, if you don't want to get into the
Functions
code
fine.
itself, like if you don't have access to the like functions.php file, this plugin gives you the ability to add code in their little area, and it will add it to it would enqueue it and add it to the functions.php file, or a CSS file or whatever, JavaScript, whatever you need. Let's see, let me go. I use Central Color Palette. If you haven't heard of that, that's super awesome. Let's see. I use the themes. I've started using the Page Builder framework. If you don't know about that, it's super cool.
Which theme were you using before this theme?
I was using Hello,
Oh.
and just customizing the heck out of it with custom fields. And
Hello is very stripped down. Like it doesn't even.
yes, it
It's very
doesn't.
basic.
Yeah, it's like super stripped down. Like there's no customization to it at all. And we at the agency we work at, or I work at, also we use the Hello theme, and we have created our own custom field panel with to change things like that. So
Okay.
yep, let's see. I use the white label CMS.
Mm-hmm.
It's by the guys at WP Elevation. They created this, and basically it gives you the ability to customize the login screen. It gives you the ability to do to white label everything pretty much in the back end, and you can create a dashboard area for your clients or for yourself, different things like that. And I guess the last one, actually two, is Sticky Header for Elementor.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. And toolbar extras for Elementor. Now there are toolbar extras for just about anything you want. The guy who creates this, Decker Webb, is the guy who creates it. I think you might have had him on a podcast. I don't know. Did you?
Yep.
Yeah. So I use that for I use it for a lot of my websites. I just found out about it about 2 or 3 websites ago, and
Okay, cool. So
started using it.
which is your recommended web hosting service for your own websites and for your client websites, if you host them or even suggest them to use those specific hostings?
This is kind of funny because they're owned by the same company, but WP Engine and Flywheel.
Flywheel.
Yep.
Glad you didn't say Bluehost and
No, I
other,
don't. I had
30 or 40 hostings are owned by one company.
Yeah, I know, right? No, yeah, no. I use WP Engine at the agency that I work for,
Mm-hmm.
and then for myself, I put all my people on Flywheel.
Okay.
So I use those. Now I used to use SiteGround. I'm actually in the process of migrating all my sites off of SiteGround. No specific reason. I just started using Flywheel, and I just like the process.
Yeah.
Of how they work, and using WP Engine. I mean, I like how WP Engine works, and I was just like, you know what? I want to have all my websites at one place and be able to access it all in one dashboard, and know that it's managed hosting where all they deal with is WordPress. And it was just, I mean, I'll still probably keep my SiteGround just to do some HTML stuff when I want to or whatever. But normally, I'll be putting everybody on Flywheel probably.
Okay, cool. So which is your recommended email marketing service if you use one or into these things?
Yeah, so I use ConvertKit
Okay.
to send out all my emails. I was watching Brad Hussey, I think that's his name, and he put out a free email course and gave you like 3 months of free service to that, and so I signed up for it, and then I started my YouTube channel and started sending out emails with that while it was free, and then and then I liked it so much I just started paying for it. So I use
Cool.
that.
Okay.
Yep.
Last question. Any upcoming tool or service that has caught your attention recently?
Ooh. Let's see. You know, I'm so head down, and we're Elementor and Unlimited Elements is always coming out with something new. I mean, I use that one all the time, and but let's see. I don't really know. Like, I can't really think of one right off the top of my head. And
Something in Elementor world that is excited that have you excited in the last few weeks?
I mean, the last few weeks. I mean, just how, I mean, they're coming out with updates. Like, some of their updates I'm like, man, we've needed this. For example, and this is very minimal, but it gets me excited, I guess, because I've been wanting this forever. Like in the edit screen of Elementor, when you hide something for desktop, it grays it out now, so you know that it's hidden for that
Specific
screen
device.
Yeah. So, and that like got me really excited because I was like, finally, because I would be in a screen looking at it, designing a website, and I would edit the wrong one, and I was like, oh, and I'd have to go back and fix it, and or hit the undo button.
These small things are more important.
Oh, I know. And the good thing about this show like it actually hiding it, is it grays it out and you can't edit it. Like, you cannot even click on it.
That's cool.
Unless you, yeah. So I guess that's one small thing within Elementor that I'm really super happy about. So
awesome. So before we end this episode, where can people find you and what you can help people with?
yeah, so people can find me at wpcliffnotes.com. That's where I do a lot of my tutorials. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram. All of them are /WP Cliff Notes. And you can find me at my agency website. Don't judge me. I'm still working on it. It's ctwebdesignshop.com. And like I said, I'm still working on that. It's a work in progress all the time, I feel like. But especially WP Cliff Notes, that's where you'll see me very active, is on my website and on YouTube and stuff like that. So
okay, cool. Clifton, thank you so much for your time. It was amazing talking to you. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too.